Hey everybody, it's Caleb here. Welcome back. Today we got a couple built-in functions, and I'm gonna really make sure I explain these well. I know these definitely confuse me, so let's get right into it. So we have three built-in functions that Roblox developers, even myself, we use all the time: FindFirstChild, WaitForChild, and GetChildren. And then I'm also just gonna introduce another one. I know it was on the title, but it's called GetService. That one is very, 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 very straightforward. So remember when I told you guys that these are all services? All these are services. So instead of saying, we'll say workspace. Instead of saying this, game.workspace. Sorry. It's best practice to say this, game, and then colon. That's how you know we're gonna use a function, a built-in function. We're gonna say get service workspace. Normally you don't see someone getting a workspace like this, but I just want to use that as an example. But this is a very handy built-in function and allows you to get more services also that aren't shown in the Explorer tab, which we'll go over later. Don't worry about it right now. But this is best practice. So like if I wanted to get the players in the game get service players. Just a little something extra. It'll make sense why I do this once I show. So let's wait. Or let's get right into it. So I'm actually gonna keep this. No, I'll delete it. So the first one we got is FindFirstChild. This one definitely confused me the most. I feel like it should be called FindChild and not FindFirstChild. I got confused. I'm like, okay, FindFirstChild, but what if the child's like all the way down? So remember yesterday I was explaining that these are all children. So FindFirstChild or FindChild, which I think it really should be called that, just goes in and finds one of these children. So if I go, we'll say game, get service workspace, and then I do the colon, FindFirstChild, and then you want to call it by name. We'll say part. That's it. So what I just did is very similar to this. But let me explain this to you guys. If this part for some reason did not exist, this would shoot an error at your code. This would stop your code. It's done. What this FindFirstChild built-in method does, it gets the part similarly, but if the part does not exist, it does not shoot an error at your code. It'll just say, okay, I'm finding the first child part. Okay, say like the part wasn't there, it will not shoot an error at your code. It'll just give you false or nil, whatever you set the variable to. So if I said local part was equal to this, game.getService or game.getService workspace, which is the workspace, FindFirstChild or FindChild. I'm gonna explain it like that because the FindFirstChild always confused me. FindChild part. Okay, the part exists. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna print part. It's gonna print literally part. Hello. Oh, I had another script built in. Ignore that. Um, yeah, it's gonna yell at me. Don't worry about that. Um, so it printed the part. That's because, well, the part exists and it works. So now if I go in here, and I'm actually gonna delete the part. So I'm just gonna click over it. I'm gonna hit backspace. So it's telling me too that the script was kicked because I had a script in it from last video. So now if I go ahead and I print part, it's gonna give me nil. That's because the part doesn't exist. But if I did this game, even if I did game dot get service workspace dot part, that's what it was called. Okay. If I run this, I'm gonna get an error. Part is not a valid member of the workspace. So FindFirstChild is like a safety for you. I use it all the time, and I'm always checking to make sure before I actually go and use or like manipulate that part, like how we change its properties. I always say, okay, let me see if the part actually exists first. So like if you wanted to edit one of its properties with this, you would say, okay, if part, then whatever you want to do with the part. But if you do it like this, how it is right now, where I'm hard coding it, it'll just shoot an error. Your code will stop running. So that's the main use of this FindFirstChild part. Because if this part doesn't exist, it'll be set to nil, which will look something like this: local part equal to nil. and then it won't shoot an error at my code, and I can still run everything. It'll just bypass it. Okay, the next one that I'm going to talk about is WaitForChild. WaitForChild is very, very similar, except you're going to wait for that child. So you might be wondering, why would I want to wait for a child when I can just get it right away? So when the server loads, when you're making a game and the server loads, not everything loads right away. So if I use the FindFirstChild and the part didn't exist, for example, if I did this, local part, game, get service, workspace, FindFirstChild, part, we'll say, if that part hasn't loaded into the game yet, part's going to be nil, like we've seen before. The part doesn't exist, so it's going to be nil. It's going to have no value to it. But WaitForChild allows us to actually wait for that part. So if the part hasn't loaded fully yet, sorry, I just sped around that. It's literally called, it's the same syntax except the function is now called WaitForChild. So what this is going to do is it's going to wait for that part to load. So if the part hasn't loaded fully right away, what this is going to do is basically wait for it. And don't worry, if the part never exists, so like in this case right now, the part doesn't exist, I'll go ahead and run it. It'll shoot a yield error at you. So say like an infinite yield trying to wait for part. Yeah, like this. Infinite yield possible on the part. That's because I didn't insert the part. But what it does basically is just it's a big safety. It's a huge safety. It's allowing you to wait for the part or the object or the script or whatever you're doing to actually load into the game. This, like I said, it's very useful. It's a lot different than FindFirstChild because FindFirstChild is going to look for it as soon as the script starts running, and if it's nil, it's nil. That's it. One thing with these though, they're very useful. You don't want to use them too often. So like I usually put one of these at like the top of my script because once it waits for one child, more than likely the rest of them are loaded. So like if I'm waiting for this child part to show in, maybe if I'm getting another part, I'll hard code it. I'll say like game, get service, workspace, and then I'll just say like part two, something like that. Like once one part's loaded, usually the other part's load in. So like waiting for one child or two child is usually a good safety and barrier because your script is gonna stop running here until this child is found. That's why I said it's an infinite yield because it's waiting here. It'll never actually get down here. So I can show that by using a print statement. It yields your script completely. So even though I have hello down here, it's still waiting for that child. So it completely yields your script, which if the part never actually exists, it could stop your code, but you guys are pretty smart. I know you use this correctly. And then finally, GetChildren. So in the previous video, I explained something called table arrays, something that looks like this. So what GetChildren does is it gets all the children of that parent. So for example, if I say get children of workspace, which is another built-in function, get children, it's going to get the camera, the terrain, spawn location, base plate. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a part in there just for good matters. And it saves it as a table. So if I say local workspace children, we'll call it, I'm going to set it equal to game, get service, workspace, get children. So this is now saved as an array, and the array is going to look something like this. It's going to say camera, terrain, spawn location, base plate. I think you guys get what I'm trying to do here. Part. And then this is a normal array, which you can get by getting its indices. But nobody explained this to me. I'm going to tell you guys now. Even though it shows up in this order, okay, camera, terrain, spawn location, baseplate, part, that's not how it's always going to show up when you get the children. The part could load in first, so the part could actually be in the front of the table instead of the back of the table, like this. So you never actually want to go through and say, okay, if I want the first part of, if I want the first child, which I know is going to be camera, even though it might not be. If I say my table of one, like that, that could be any part. Like, it's not going to be in the same order. So what I usually do is I'll loop through the GetChildren method, and then I'll try and find the part, which I'll show you guys how to do in the next video. But if I go ahead and I print workspace children, it should print out. Yeah, see, look at. Here's a great example. The camera is first, but the terrain loaded in first. So the terrain's in the first spot, and then the spawn location, and then the base plate, then the camera, and then the part. See, it doesn't always, it's not going to line up this way. So that's why you don't want to like hard code and say, okay, I'm going to get the first child of it. And it's not always going to be the camera. So this video is, I think it was my longest video, but these are very important methods, or excuse me, built-in functions for you guys to understand. They're very useful. Get comfortable with them. In the next video, I'm going to explain how you can loop through tables and arrays, something called pairs and iPairs. I'm going to go over it, don't worry. Sorry, this video was definitely longer than my other ones, but this stuff is very important. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, leave a comment. Make sure you join our Discord server. And yeah, like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.